Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of How to Die with the Funeral Guy. I am your hostess, the hostess with the ghostess, Dead Man's best friend. My mama called me Head, but you can call me Cecil or whatever you like. So today's episode is brought to you by Cindy's List Funeral Concierge and Inheritance Protection. They actually save you time, money, and the emotional cost of planning for and purchasing a funeral. Make sure you check out their website at www.cindysListllc.com. That's CINDYSLISTLLC.com. Give them a call at 724-624-9297. All right, got the sponsors out the way. So welcome to another episode, How to Die with the Funeral Guy. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, tune in, and make sure you hit that bell too so you get the notifications of when we actually post new videos. So welcome again to another episode of How to Die with the Funeral Guy. I am your hostess, the Funeral Guy. So today we wanted to talk about, what's the process when someone dies? So again, this is from our from Cindy's List perspective. So, you know, what are those steps? Well, what are those, like, what happens? So we want to talk through that, right? So you actually have a loved one. They've been sick for a while now. Maybe they're in the hospital, and you know the doc comes in and gives you that talk like, hey, it's time. Yeah, I mean, you should probably start preparing. So what do you do? So first thing you should do is call Cindy's List Funeral Concierge. They can definitely assist you with the difficult process of dealing with the death of a loved one from A to Z. But let's just talk about it. So you start thinking about it, and then the doc comes in and says, I'm sorry, your loved one has passed. What do you do? First thing you want to do, alrighty, so, you know, say your goodbyes by all means, grieve, do what you need to do, cry, yell, scream, whatever you need to do. But once you come out of that, you know, let the physician on duty, the head nurse on charge, tell them that you want to move the body to the morgue, the hospital morgue. So when you move the body to the hospital morgue, what that does, number one, it saves you money on storage. So the funeral home is going to charge you probably about $100 a day, at least. $100 a day to store your loved one's body at their facilities. Whereas if you ask the physician on charge, the head nurse on charge, to move the body to the hospital morgue, they'll actually usually do that for a minimum cost. I mean, you're already spending thousands of dollars in the hospital. I don't think they're going to have a problem moving the body to the morgue. But usually at those hospitals, when the body's in the morgue, they usually give you about 1 to 2 weeks. So they allow you 1 to 2 weeks to figure out what you're going to do, what funeral home you're going to work with. Are you going to get, you know what I mean? So they give you time to actually get your stuff together, you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't request that they move the body to the morgue. They immediately call the funeral home immediately comes pick them up. But first thing you should do, move the body to the morgue. That's going to give you 1 to 2 weeks of storage, essentially, is what it is. I mean, they're refrigerating the body until you find a sufficient facility to take care of it. Alrighty, so now you got 1 to 2 weeks to figure out what you want to do. The next thing you want to do is call Cindy's List Funeral Concierge. So once the funeral home has the body, they pretty much can dictate. Well, they can't dictate, but they have set charges. So if they go pick up that body, then they're going to charge you $350 or thereabouts. If they have to if they have to do something extra, they're gonna charge you extra for that. But call us. So what we're gonna do? So we know the body's in the morgue. You've called Cindy's List Funeral Concierge. We've gone through that process of talking about what it is that you want, and then what do? So we contact at least 3 funeral homes. So at least. When we're calling these funeral homes, and you can do this too, you don't have to go through us, but we're going to save you that time and emotional cost of having to do it. But contact 3 funeral homes. 3 funeral homes in the area of the hospital, or 3 funeral homes in the area of your home, or 3 funeral homes in the area of the cemetery that you want to be buried. So you want to make sure that you're actually picking a funeral home that, you know, is actually in an area. I mean, because if they have to travel plus more than 50 miles, then they're going to charge you for that. You know what I mean? So make sure it's within a reasonable area, usually about 25 to 35 miles of, you know, final disposition. So if they're going to be buried, 25, 30 miles around the cemetery. I mean, if they're going to be cremated, 25, 30 miles around the crematory. So that way you actually save money on mileage when, you know, you're transporting your loved one's body. Alrighty, so you call, the body's in the morgue. You call Cindy's List. Cindy's List is going to reach out to 3 funeral homes. When we reach out to the funeral homes, we're asking one thing. We're not telling them how much insurance we got. We're not telling them that we have a loved one and we have a need right now. We're not telling them anything. The only thing that we're asking for is their GPL. So what's the GPL? It's that general price list. This is essentially the funeral home menu. so you get the menu from every single funeral home, at least 3. Within the general area of final disposition, and you compare the prices. You know what I mean? You would be surprised at the price difference between funeral homes. So the funeral on Avenue A could charge you $500 to pick up the body, but the funeral home on Avenue C, which is just 2 blocks away, could charge you $100. Depends. You know what I mean? So that's why we actually at least get 3 minimum, and we compare those prices. So our job is to actually make sure that you're getting the best quality performance from those cemeteries and crematories, funeral homes, but that you're also getting the best price. You know what I mean? So we know that we can go down the street and get it for cheaper. You know what I mean? And they're going to do just as good a job. So not only that, there's a bunch of us. So we actually have that group power to negotiate a little bit harder than, you know, the average bear. I mean, but again, you can do this. You know what I mean? There's nothing preventing you from doing this. You can call the funeral home and ask them for the GPL. You can compare each one of the GPLs and find out which one is a better price. You can compare, you know, the funeral home's gonna have some type of website, or, you know what I mean, you can compare them. You know what I mean? Figure out which one is the best fit for you and your family. So once we've selected a funeral home that we've presented to you, of those 3, you decide to go with funeral home B. So once we know that you want to go with funeral home B, now mind you, the body's still at the hospital morgue. They're storing your loved one for us for a lot less money, and we have up to a week, 2 weeks to do it. So, alrighty, so we pick a funeral home. The next thing we're going to do is actually call the AO, so the admin on site at the funeral. So this is the person that's actually in charge of the morgue, essentially. So we call them, hey, we found a funeral home, they're going to come pick them up. All right, and so the AO, the admin on site, says, okay, we'll have them ready. So call funeral home, hey, he's ready, go pick him up. Bam, funeral home picks him up, and that starts the ball rolling. So what happens then is, you know, regular funeral home stuff, you know what I mean? So again, you have the option at this point. So funeral home just picked them up from the hospital. They have them at their facilities. That charge from the hospital going to pick them up, bring them to the facility, that's a charge. I mean, so usually probably about $250 to, but it depends, you know what I mean? But it ranges from about $200 to $500 depending on which funeral home you go to. It could be a lot less than that, but that's just how different the prices are. I mean, it's crazy, but so the funeral home picked up the body. They're at their facilities. Now, what do you want to do? Again, you have the option. Do you want the body cremated, or do you want the body refrigerated, or do you want the body embalmed? So embalming is going to cost you anywhere from $400 to $2,500, depending on the funeral home that you go to. Again, the prices, they set their own prices. There is no regulation that says they have to charge this much for anything. That's their business. That's their charges. It's their menu. They can charge you $10 for a cheeseburger. I'm looking at you, Shake Shack. But, you know what I mean? So now if you go with refrigeration, then you're going to save a significant amount of money, but they charge you per day for refrigeration. So it can range anywhere from $20 per day to $250 per day, depending on the funeral home that you use. So if you go with refrigeration, then your loved one will be preserved. And in a pretty decent shape though. So you have to maintain at least 32 degrees. So that's like at freezing. So they freeze the body. You know, so when you put steaks in a freezer, it freezes the body. But probably a bad analogy. You shouldn't use steaks there. Or do you go with embalming? So embalming is a chemical process where they, inject the body to preserve it. It's like potato chips, I guess. They put all them preservatives on them to keep them longer. You know what I mean? So same thing with the body. They put a bunch of preservatives in them so that the body lasts longer. There's no state law requiring that the body be embalmed. It's usually a funeral home thing. So the funeral home usually says that if you're going to have a viewing, then the body needs to be embalmed. What? So they'll embalm them. Again, their price can range anywhere from $200 to $2,500. So depending on who you go through. So now that the body's embalmed or refrigerated, now it's actually time to start thinking about what do you want to do. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be turned into a tree? Do you want to be, you know what I mean? So there's different options that you can choose from, but we can actually assist you with that. So give us a call if you like. Definitely would love serving the families. We love serving the families. We'll be happy to assist you, answer any questions that you have. If you're going through a tough time right now, you just need some guidance. The free 99, Jack. We information is free, knowledge is free. We'll be happy to help guide you through that process. However, if you would like to save the time, money, and emotional cost of planning for and purchasing a funeral, then definitely reach out to Cindy's List Funeral Concierge. Again, you can go to their website at www.cindysllc.com, or you can call them at 724-624-9297. Again, this episode is brought to you by Cindy's List Funeral Concierge. I am your host, the funeral guy, dead man's best friend, the hostess with the ghostess. My mama called me Head, but you can call me Cecil or whatever you like. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell over there so that you get notifications about the new videos. So thank you for joining us on another episode of How to Die with the Funeral Guy. Talk to you guys soon.